Dare to compare. Dare to compare. We're coming from the 40th chapter of the book of Isaiah. And we are going to read one verse, verse 18. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 18 is where our subject is coming from. Read it, Deacon Murray, for me.
To whom then?
This is a question that he is asking. To whom then
Will ye liken God?
will you liken or will you compare God?
Or what likeness
What likeness
will ye compare unto him?
will you compare unto him? Okay, in other words, what you going to liken him to, and what are you going to liken to him? Dare to compare. Some of us have driven certain models of cars for so long until we're so satisfied with it, we won't try another one. For fear we'll be dissatisfied with what we already satisfied with. But sometimes you need to compare things. You need to compare ideas. You need to compare thoughts. Is this the best way to do it? You understand? Our lesson is the 40th chapter of Isaiah. And for your information, many of the theologians or writers consider the 40th chapter of Isaiah to the 66th chapter to have been written by what they term the second Isaiah. How many of you know that a lot of scholars attribute Isaiah to two different writers? The 40th chapter, from the 40th chapter to the 66th chapter. And this is simply because of what they call the science of criticism. The way he wrote in these last chapters is different from the way he wrote in the first 39 chapters. All right? But to understand it, you have to look at the subject matter that he's dealing with. Prior to this, he has dealt with the woes and with the wars and with all of the trouble that were coming or existing in Israel's day at that time. The 40th chapter changes with the first verse. What does it say? Comfort ye, my people, saith the Lord. I say so oftentimes that God does not leave us without a remedy or a hope. Even when he pronounced judgment on us, he always does it with this in mind. If you will respond to my correction, the judgment will not be activated. So in your message, when you are preaching, when you are teaching, and you tell folk, and listen, we got a whole lot of folk in our society today. Every time you turn on the radio, everybody you listen to, everybody is telling you the problem. Nobody is offering a solution. If I'm broke, I don't need you to tell me I'm broke. I already know that. I need you to tell me how to make some money. This is what I'm saying. So when we look at Isaiah, Isaiah has dealt with the woes. They call them woes, a judgment that was coming on Israel and Judah during his lifetime. And now he is changing the subject matter, so his writing style changed. Amen. So he says, comfort ye. And he goes on into a litany of things that should be said that should bring comfort to us. I'm saying that because many times we as a people turn the message off when it gets a little particular about things that we are involved in. We turn it off. We fail to hear the remedy that's offered. We get upset and and that's all we heard. We heard the preacher say, but we turn him off there, and we fail to hear his solution that he offers before he closes his message. This is Isaiah. This is the solution he's offering to the woes. And so as he began to deal with this, we're not going to have time to lift out the first 17 verses, what he tells them, but I just want to go immediately to verse number 18, because he asks this question after he tells us about the greatness and the wonders of God, how mighty he is, and how he scooped out the sea and weighed the hills in balances. And how he tells all of this, he describes the awesomeness of God. And he asks this question, who will you liken him to? That's a question we need to answer, because as we read below this verse that we just had read for our subject matter, the context of this verse, and we're going to ask Brother Murray to read some more for us, verse 19.
The workman melteth a graven image.
The workman a graven image. In other words, he makes a graven God. Read it.
And the goldsmith spreadeth it over with gold.
And he covered it with gold.
And casteth silver chains.
And casteth silver chains. All right. Now, he asked, as I said, first of all, who is like him? Mm-hmm. Who will you liken him to? Now, who is like him? So he is describing what they were doing at that time, what they considered God to be like. Yes. I know, at least I hope, you all are not making graven images and all of that, but there are some things that we hold in higher esteem than we do God. And anything we put before God becomes our God. So I ask you again, to what will you liken him? Dare to compare that thing that you hold so dear in your life. Compare the benefits that you receive from it to the benefits that you receive from your relationship to God. Dare to compare. Is there any comparison between what a graven image can do and what God can do? This is one of the vivid, pictorial descriptions of contrast. Who will you liken him, and who is he like? Now, they were describing him in their imagination as graven images, as gods are covered with gold and silver. And we said, well, the rich folks, they do that. But listen, they wasn't only the rich folk. You understand that because read it on, Deacon Murray.
He that is so impoverished.
Now, the fella that ain't got no money, that is so impoverished, that poor person,
that he hath no oblation.
He don't have no oblation, no money.
A tree that will not rot.
He goes and get him a tree that won't rot. A hardwood, what we call a hardwood tree today. You go get him a tree that won't rot.